Another truth is just 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 111. It's a saying we used to have at Motorola, and it's just the importance of integrated marketing. As I mentioned before, two-dimensional print can't capture an experience. Television does a little bit better job. Promotions and experiential marketing and events allow you that face-to-face time. But it's not doing any one of those things. It's about dialing in the right mix of those things. A very quick example is much more recent. We leveraged Danica Patrick, who is a brand ambassador of ours. And not to go into all this, but we did a 3-phase PR approach. We took some viral videos and we pretended that her car was stolen, threw it up on the internet, which created all kinds of hubbub. Then we came back to the Indy 500 and launched it as the new Boost car. Boost was our customer at that time. Big media blitz, lots of local marketing, trade and training, so whether it was at the point of sale, whether it was people selling Motorola phones, point of sale merchandising, a consumer promotion online where you track Danica every week and you could enter in to win a grand prize to Sonoma to meet her and all that good stuff. So leveraging, I didn't show you everything Razor, but Razor really was through all kinds of mediums, all those stories. It's really important to use them all. There's not just one. Another truth is results matter. I always aspired, to just do the creative, and I think what you realize along the way, I was chatting with someone in the back of the room, is your CFO actually becomes your best friend. They're the ones that hold the money. You got to impress the CEO, but it's the CFO that actually writes the check. So, and there's a lot of talk about it. You read in the past decade that, ROI and all that good stuff. I mean, that same example, the results were these. For that PR effort, 350 million impressions, the value of which was about 3.2 million. It was 10x greater than we ever expected. Blew the doors off of any PR we'd ever done before. ABC, CNN, MSNBC all covered it. The media was 600 million impressions. I mean, that's just a byproduct of the plan. However, what was interesting to us is that they liked the plan so much, our customer, they gave us 13 million on top of it. So that does speak to, the strategy of the plan, the creative, all that good stuff coming together, and people ponying up more money. The local marketing, which was only really like 6 events, garnered 8 million impressions, people interacting with Danica on the street. Trade promotion, a little less sexy, but 1,000 dealer participants around the country. I mean, again, not sexy, but this promotion that we did, we never had maybe 200 dealers get excited about anything. The POS presence, we were in 8,000 Boost stores. We had 14,000 field sales visits. All of those were records at the time due to the engagement. The consumer promotion garnered greater than 250,000 participants online, which was, we only expected 50,000. We stopped counting after 250,000. The brand exposure for Boost was 6.5 million, and then it was embarrassing because we didn't even show them the next line, which was, we're doing all this for you, but we somehow got almost twice as much brand value and exposure out of it ourselves. So these were the metrics that we shared with the presidents and the CFOs and all that good stuff to justify them giving us more money in the future. But that's all good. Those are all great marketing metrics. But the exciting part was the phone that all that promoted. It was the first QWERTY on iDen, which doesn't really mean much other than texting on this technology called iDen. 1.2 billion units around the world. Sales were 465 million. So those are the numbers that CFOs like to see to allow you to do more. So for Motorola, I'm no longer there. What's next for them? I think the interesting, when you think about problem solving and architecting, I've shown you a good portion of what it's been and kind of the heart and soul of it. But what's interesting about the cell phone category, and I mentioned it before, it's even more experiential, right? You know, iPhones come out with apps, you know, it's what you can do. For me, and I have just gotten an iPhone, so I don't like it as much as a Google phone. However, my thing with the Apple, I mean, there's nothing better than the brand that they've set up, and they have done it tremendously, but it's seemingly random. I don't need an app that, you know, gives me 20 recipes for consideration for dinner tonight. You know, it's seemingly random, and where Google and the Google apps seemingly are more purposeful. And I like the way that they're aggregating data and information real time. One big difference is, you know, on the Google phones, you could put, say, like your Facebook app, and it's constantly changing. You could just, you know, when you're bored in class, you know, look down and see that, you know, this rotating coverage of what people are saying. Or if the weather changes, you've got this dynamic weather app. You can't do that on an iPhone. You've got to go in and you've got to kind of explore. So my point in telling you any of those differences is just very experiential, and it's hard to define, it's hard to communicate. I mentioned this before, you don't know what you don't know, and you know, as a result, as you guys create and architect the future, they don't know what they don't know. And it's that analogy I brought from Motorola, which is, you know, inventing things people have never seen before, never heard of, don't even have a use for yet. So you have an incredible opportunity, and keep that in the back of your mind, is that people don't know what they don't know. And when you introduce things, you know, for the first time or even for the 20th time, as Motorola has done in reinventing itself, you have every opportunity. So, parting words, you know, experience is everything. Explore, create, risk, play, invent, fiddle, carpe diem. I mean, seize the day. Back in my history, I've lived 7 different places before I was 12 years old. I've lived 14 places in my life. I've been to every continent. I've been to about 300 cities in the world. I mentioned that one photo shoot in Rio. I played soccer with homeless kids that had no shoes. So now when my son, you know, doesn't want to eat his dinner, and I'll tell him, look, I played soccer with kids that don't get dinner. So eat your dinner. Or they complain about the shoes don't have flashlights on them. Hey, you know, I've been places where kids don't have shoes. You are lucky. My point in all that is I couldn't tell my son if I hadn't had that experience. Go out and just experience anything and everything. Go talk to people. Go see places. Go experience anything and everything. And I guarantee you, you know, you'll use it one day. That experience I had at Wilson Golf, I came up with something called Seeing is Believing, and I talk about this today, to this day, with some of my employees, or pulling out some of those reinvention experiences. They'll all come back. You'll use them 100 times over. Think of them as tools in your tool chest. You may never pull them out, but when it's time to fix a faucet and you have the wrench, you got it. So thank you. Thank you very much.